Where on earth is the future of work in an AI-driven world actually heading? And how can we prepare our children for a future in school today? Just before we get into today's episode, we'd love you to take a couple of seconds to hit follow or subscribe on your favourite podcast app. That way, you'll never miss an episode on future-proofing your school. Now, we keep hearing about the future of work, but the reality is that the shift is happening right now in 2026. We're seeing technological change reshape tasks across so many occupations, and routine tasks are increasingly being supported by AI. So, this is not a doom and gloom story, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's a pivot. Australia requires incredibly diverse capabilities right now across academic, vocational, technical, and career-related fields. The friction point is how we actually prepare our children for this. Now, there's a lot of pressure which points towards one pathway, like the ATAR, which is just one selection method amongst several. So Mindflight 7 and the team here behind the Skills Bridge podcast, we're bringing together progressive leaders to help us support the way we should look at education in the future and how we need to build a workforce that we could all embrace. So joining me now in the studio is Liz Goldberg. Now, Liz is an educational innovation leader and she's right here in our studio
Hello.
to chat today. Hi there, Liz.
Hi.
So you're a progressive educator. Now, we're not just talking about the future of learning. You're building it on the ground, Liz.
Well, I've been teaching for 36 plus years. I've worked for 30 years in government schools, and for the last 7 years, I've worked for an independent school.
Okay. And what an interesting role you have too. You're sort of leading the way into a new world for our students and parents.
Yes, well, I think that the ability to evolve as a teacher, to adapt to change, is just one of the characteristics that I think enables a teacher for the long-term impact. And the fact that I'm still here after 36 years is pretty amazing. And I'm just as passionate about education as what I was when I first started.
There's leadership from your point of view, and this career pathway is completely redefined for students what success looks like in the future. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Now, Liz, our students need to think about the real world when it talks about the future, because we have AI, but also it's happening right now before our very eyes. That's what we need to think about.
Well, I think that the issue here is the pace at which technology is changing and how AI is being integrated into society just so fast. But when we talk about educating kids, we're talking about the institution of education, and that moves at a much slower pace than what we see in society. So to align the two of them, we need to form partnerships. And so I think education needs to come to terms with the fact that we can't do this by ourselves. Teachers cannot work by themselves to make these changes, to get these kids ready for what is going to be out there in society and what jobs are going to be out there in 5 years' time or 10 years' time. We see lots of things on the internet. I'm a big fan of podcasts. I love watching Steve Bartlett, and when he talks to all these OpenAI CEOs, the Anthropic CEOs, even Elon Musk, they give you hints about what's coming. And so from all of that, I will mention one other podcaster that has undergone a paradigm shift in thinking, who is absolutely amazing. And I think that as educators, we need to listen to this person. And his name is Gawdat. And Mo had many years as an executive for Google, and he's an AI expert. And what happened to Mo is that he's a tragedy. And so many events that have happened that we've seen technology evolving rapidly is because of a paradigm shift, something that has caused that change. So in Singapore or some of the Asian countries, they had the bird flu. They changed to online learning.
Right.
Now they surpassed us in developing curriculum, online. But then we had COVID. We caught up. So then what comes next? These paradigm shifts, these massive changes that require a rethinking. Now, AI is doing that for us, and so is immersive technologies. So in my career, I've had 3 massive paradigm shifts. So the first thing I want to just go back to Mo Gawdat. Okay, so Mo Gawdat's son actually died on the operating table just from an appendicitis. Now, he was 10 years executive, top-end job, amazing. It made him rethink everything. He left his job. He goes out and now does podcasts and speaks to people about what's coming because they know they're in the industry. So I will talk more about what his message is out there in general, but I do want to encourage people to actually have a look at what he's predicting and what he's saying and what hope he has.
Right.
Because he has hope.
So it's positive, it's hope. But explain to me, what is he predicting and how we
so
need
you want to know that first?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so what Mo's talking about is humanity. So he's saying, yeah, you've got AI, but we're humans.
Right.
We have humanity. So we have empathy. So when we make a decision about something, it's not always the best decision, but because we need to factor in empathy, we factor in empathy and we say, okay, yeah, but we won't be doing that at this stage. Let's go step one first, step two. You ask AI is boom, straight into it. This is the solution. This is the best option because it's programmed to do that. It wants to give you the best answer.
Yes.
But humanity says no. And we can turn things off. We can not use. We can make choices. We can say no. So what Mo is talking about is one of his main points is that we need to be teaching kids how to augment with AI. And so he actually wrote a book with his partner. His partner was AI, but he formed a partnership with this AI and said, no, I don't like that. I don't like that idea. I'm going to use my own. Now, isn't that a clue as to where kids need to be? So we need to teach them to question, to recognize AI, because there's a lot of crud on the internet. He says that we need to augment or teach kids to work with these technologies so that we increase their IQ. So when he was working in partnership with this AI to write his book, instead of his normal 150, 160 IQ or whatever he has, it jumps to 200, 400, 500 IQ. Yes, he says we need to raise the standard of humanity. Now, immersive technologies, I've seen how it works with the students, and it is an incredible, I call it's the immersive impact. And it's almost like teachers are taught to give an introduction to a new topic. You spend 15 minutes most talking, maybe 5 minutes is better, but teachers can't help it because we love to chat. And so, we might spend 15 minutes doing an introduction and then we get them, give them a task, start getting them to do research, whatever. So, this concept of using these technologies, whether it's augmented with AI, or with immersive technologies like using the VR as their first introduction into a particular topic is where education needs to go.
Right.
Because, the question you asked me was, how are we going to prepare these kids for working in these environments? I think things will go slower than what everybody is predicting.
Yes.
Because educational institutions are like that. We work at a much slower pace. We don't.
There's a bit of a lag, as they say, and the governments need to catch up. And I think there's a bit of I'm not going to use the word hype, but yes, the reality is that there will take time, but it is coming. Now, students, their digital capabilities, they're very clever when it comes to digital devices, but that's different to embracing it as a learning tool, isn't it? The fact that you can use it and it's part of your world, there's still more to think about for our students.
Well, I'll tell you, that's something that would surprise you. So they're very good at doing, the social side of it. But where I teach, they've taken away phones. So we use Yonder pouches. Okay, so every morning all the phones go into the Yonder pouches. I can't tell you the difference in how the students are much calmer during the day. I really, you wouldn't even believe the difference of how calm they are. So, removing the crud, I call it crud. It's internet crud, right? So it's not really of any benefit. It's so fast-paced that it's almost like you've given them a Red Bull, if I can say that. It's almost like you're hyping them up. You're giving them this brain activity, but it's not productive. It's just giving them that dopamine hit, but without any benefit. So this new strategy that our school has adopted only this year, so it's only new, has made a tremendous impact on the kids. I think that kids need to have, look, in life, this is what we teach your kids, right? You teach them balance. You can have a little bit of everything, but you need to balance it up. With regard to AI and technology, it's our job as educators to guide them, okay? We need to get them to question. We need to teach them how to question it, how to use other sources to say, is that information correct? Oh, it's not the only option. Is there? Can you look at another option, a less detrimental impact on the environment or, on an individual, you know what I mean? So you can ask it to look at other alternatives. But the problem is that we don't know, we need to teach the kids how to question, how to recognize that that's fake AI. The deep fake AI is such a big problem for kids because they confuse reality. They say, that seal jumping out into the hands of the people in Antarctica, is real. They go, wow, that's real. No, it's fake, So we need to teach them to question that, but from a young age.
So how will the classroom look different then? There's a lot of challenges that we're talking about there, Liz. How's it going to look different in 2030? Can we sort of at least think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, step one is to change spaces, So our libraries, two of our libraries, I've been directly involved in recreating these spaces. So our old library that got very little use, I mean, I love books. I am a teacher librarian, but I'm a Bachelor of Science, I'm a science teacher, Year 12, biology, agriculture, taught sciences, maths, geography. I've taught so many different subjects in my 36 years of teaching. But what I found is that because of these experiences that I've had, I was part of the team to develop Casey Tech, which was the STEM centres. It's over at TAFE, like they're building these super STEM colleges, and I was on the design team. So we were able to go around to all these different places. And I noticed there were hubs like this particular hub that we're in now, where a lot of people don't have an office and they come together. Okay, so there's these spaces. Then I went to Monash Education. They had these amazing spaces. And I thought, we need to bring these into schools. So when my school principal asked me to redesign the library for future learning, I designed an innovation hub. I always was going to have immersive technologies in it because my first paradigm shift that happened to me was when I bought my son a VR headset when he was 16 years old. And he said, Mum, come and have a look at this. And he's 27 now. So a long time ago. And he put the headset on me and he was landing a space shuttle and he was in outer space. Something just went, boom. I said, game changer.
Right.
This is a game changer. But timing was incredibly important. Timing. It wasn't the right time to put immersive technologies in the school. The programs weren't there. The experiences were not there.
So the time is now?
Now, yes. The time is now. Now there is a plethora of good quality immersive experiences that we can connect to curriculum because it's not just for fun. You raised a point before. You said that the kids are good with digital. Well, they're not that great with digital. Only the digital that they use for entertainment. It's not the good quality impact learning technologies. We're still doing coding. I don't think coding. My 14-year-old nephew built me a app within half an hour sitting next to me. But I tell you what was impressive was the fact that he used an AI generating app to build me a booking system for the VRs at lunchtime so the kids can come in and at recess and book a VR for lunchtime use. No, he asked me questions. How often do you want them to do it in a week? I said, just once, 20 minutes. How many VR headsets do you need? And a whole plethora of questions so that we could isolate, so we can make sure that the kids have a fair go at using it. Because, there's a lot of kids that want to use the VR. We let them use it. And the reason why we let them use it is because we want them to get used to this technology. Reports say that by 2030, a lot of work environments are going to be using VR as induction, as part of the induction, the training. We know in the medical field or any dangerous situations, that ability to repeat to keep on repeating that task to get it right is really important. Safety, money, things cost money if you make a mistake.
Yes.
So that's the premise I use with allowing the kids to use VR at lunchtimes. We want them to get used to the technology. We want them to be able to create their own safety perimeters, within the headset. We want them to know how to use the hand controllers and, you will be surprised that they don't know how to do it. You'll be surprised.
So it's not replacing what we're seeing today? No, it's assisting
it's augmented.
What we know today. It's augmented.
It's augmented.
Now, Liz, so you've been wonderful and explained how you see the future and how we should embrace it. The reality, are teachers doing this? Are they being encouraged for this to happen?
Well, the encouragement has to come with people who believe in this philosophy that we need to prepare our kids for what's coming. Okay, so teachers are great at teaching content, but education is more than just content. So the reality is for teachers is that they already have a lesson plan, and to add another element to it takes a little bit of convincing. So in my school, they've given me that responsibility and I take the pressure off the teachers. So because we work with Moodle and all our assessments are online because we do continuous assessment now, there's not that end of year sort of reporting thing, it's continuous. We can pull down the database with all the topics that every domain, every subject area is doing and the due dates. And so with that data is power. And teaching kids how to use data is amazing because you can fill that spot. If you have the data, you can solve the issue. And this is the issue. So the issue is that teachers are time poor. Let's be realistic about that. They're time poor. They're teaching 28 kids in a class in a maybe 50-minute period. They've got 2 minutes per student, if like I'm, rounding it off, okay?
Yep.
2 minutes per child. Now, they've got pressure from the Department of Education. You've got a curriculum outline, curriculum 2.0 or whatever. They've got these new initiatives that they want you also to incorporate into your teaching. And so teachers incredibly time poor. They already have a lesson plan. So they say, why? Not what is there that can enhance that learning. So as in my position and as a leader of trying to integrate the curriculum, I want to immerse these teachers themselves and immerse the students, but I take care of it. I say, I know this is coming up. I find an experience, and sometimes a 360 YouTube video is enough. 5 minutes is enough. 10 minutes is enough for a student to be immersed in something that will make them go, wow, this is amazing. So this is the reality. The reality is that there needs to be a nominated person with a passion, with an understanding to help teachers to guide them and say, all you have to do is book this space. I've rebuilt our libraries for these innovations, spaces where they've got VR spaces, they've got pods, they can do individual learning, collaborative teaching. It's got all the latest equipment in there. And so that's what an innovative school or a school that is going to take care of these kids' needs for the future needs to focus.
If we don't do this, what you described there, if schools don't embrace this, what will happen? We'll be behind.
Well, we're doing that's our core business is educating children to be prepared for what's coming. We want them to be purposeful citizens. Isn't that that's our charter. Of course. That's our charter. That's what we live for. That's what we do. That's what we lose sleep over.
Yep.
We're staying up till 2 a.m. trying to figure out how am I going to get this kid to understand this concept.
Well, you're losing sleep over it. Others, in a good way, you're thinking about it. We're all thinking about it.
Teachers are smart. Teachers are good, but we have to balance our lives as well. I mean, the cleverest people are teachers, honestly. So I've met brilliant principals, right, who are just really innovative, who can see the future, who listen to podcasts, who go and do their PDs. We need teachers teaching teachers, I read something this morning that teachers need to be tested. I'm thinking, That's just so old-fashioned. How can anybody say teachers need to be tested when we know that peer teaching peer, kids teaching kids works really well? That's collaboration. That's getting them to work together as a team. Another essential skill for going out into the world. When we go out into society, we don't have 28 kids the same age in the same room. We have all different age groups, all different intellectual abilities. We have all of this. So teachers that teach holistically, and all teachers know that teaching content is only one element. Getting the kids to connect with what they're learning, now that's where immersive technologies come in.
Okay.
Because I've seen kids teaching at grade 5s, we don't put headsets, generally VR, with the really younger kids, basically because the heads are too small. They don't fit properly.
Yep.
And we just don't want to do that research.
Yep.
I don't think there's any real research that supports that.
At 15 is a good age. Grade 5. Sorry.
So grade 5, grade 6, and then the way up. The most receptive group is between grade 5 and year 8. Year 9s and other issues come into play, face makeup, people's hair, so, they're the 15-year-olds sort of onwards. But you do have this incredible audience between grade 5 and year 8.
Now, Liz, let's talk to the parents who might be listening to this podcast. They need to, rethink, ATAR is one thing, but it's not everything.
No, that's right. So I think with education, of course, we're in partnerships with parents. And so parents have, of course, a large say in whether their child does a vet subject, selects to do a vet subject. So that's vocational education training. So that means they can go to TAFE for an afternoon or a day. They can experience a trade very early on so that if they don't like it, it's not that they've committed 3 years to that. So parents are getting around that. So we know that the education department recognised that pushing everybody into HSC back in those days, before we had VCE, and now we have VCE VM, vocational major. We've got VCE pathway, which generally, if they're wanting to go to university, they take that pathway. Yes, there's pressure from parents because, the parents only know what they know and what they've experienced. And every parent wants their child to be better than them. They want them to have more opportunities. They want them to be happy. So parents are acknowledging the fact that there are other options now. And they very much attend information sessions because they do fear for their kids' future. And they do want them to have a good career. They understand the social pressures. They understand the money pressures. They understand financial pressures. So everybody wants the best. So if they can direct their child to a career that is going to give them security, a good wage, of course they're going to do that. So yes, parents do look out for their cubs.
Does that sort of distract them in their thoughts?
Yes,
because there's this emotional element when thinking that. Okay, so that's for our parents. And just to wrap us up, so students listening to this, you're a 15-year-old student, you're anxious about AI and the world ahead. Your advice for them?
Adaptability, flexibility, experiment, try opportunity, try new things. If somebody gives you an experience, take it. You need to have broad knowledge of not only AI, not only, what's happening around you. You need to be aware of what's happening around you and learn as much as you can and form these partnerships have your own tutor, your own AI tutor, but learn to question it. Don't accept anything that at face value.
Yep.
Learn to question.
Yeah, great advice. Love it. Thanks for being here. Liz Goldberg, educational innovator, a leader when it comes into the innovation space. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning to The Skills Bridge. And if you found today's episode valuable, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share it with a school leader who's looking to future-proof their curriculum. Next episode, we're tackling one of the most heated debates in education today, artificial intelligence. While many schools were panicked and they tried to ban AI, Brodie McGee from Salesian College went the other way. He built a custom AI tutor that actually forces you, the students, to think deeper rather than doing the work for them. Very clever. We're exploring why banning AI is a massive mistake and how custom guardrails are giving teachers their Sunday afternoon back. Hit that follow button so I drop straight into your feed next week, and to learn how Mindflight 7 can bring the education revolution to your campus, head to mindflight7.com.au.